especially talking about back to school things. Today we're joined by the County Executive sector in Vihiga County, and what does the county government of Vihiga do? So the scope of the county government of Vihiga is, but through our discussion we'll be able to answer some of the questions that you've been asking on education, VTC, ECDE, and we are also which is under the national government's scope. They are set to join school next week. So we encourage you to ask questions, continue engaging us, and today our Waziri will be answering questions that you have been asking on education. Karibu Waziri, welcome to this week's episode. How's your new year?
All good so far, and we are aligning to the
education. What does that entail? What's your role? What are some of the responsibilities that you get to do as the, in short, it's called Cecm as in VTC?
My name is Anne, and Desma is my name. The Cecm County Executive Committee member, education. My work is to translate the county vision into action, and this is giving strategic direction to the Department of Education to see what we have under the county integrated development plan and ensure efficient implementation of the development plans within the county government of Vihiga, and especially under the Department of Education, where I am the Cecm. I'm also supposed to ensure, which is my mandate, that there is efficient use of the resources allocated in the budget of our department, and ensure serious and committed service delivery, especially in the education sector. And part of it is actually providing clear oversight in the education sector, just to ensure the resources are also used. Yeah. Of course, I'm also supposed to give a policy direction policies and present to the cabinet. Policy documents. I'm also obligated to is regulated for the purposes of efficient service delivery in the department.
Clearly explained what you do in your department. We often talk about the reporting period is within a financial year, and we are currently in the 2025. The education sector as well.
In the education sector, that cannot be overlooked. Affecting the education sector, and we are putting more emphasis on the learner's outcome, like are we offering quality education to our trainees in the VTC sector. For example, as we are having these trainees in those VTC centers, are they coming out with skills that are on demand, that are viable in the market? So our priority is actually to ensure that we align to the CBET curriculum, which is a new curriculum, not very new, but it is a requirement with the TVET Act that we must align to the CBET curriculum, because this is the only curriculum that will give our young people employability skills, like market demand skills. It is a modern kind of curriculum. We also have the CEDA curriculum that is also aligning what we are doing as a department. We want to first of all train our managers and our trainers on the CBET curriculum. We prepared training curriculum on how we are going out to roll out this training. We want to liaise with the Kenya School of Government, with the Kaimosi Vocational Training Center, Kaimosi Polytechnic, to support us actually in rolling out the training to our trainers in the VTC. We have a budget allocation for it, so this is a program that I'm sure April. We wanted to do it in December, but due to time frame and other budget requirements, uploading the budgets in the system, you know what it takes, transitioning to the EGP, the new procurement system that actually has really pulled us back, but we are keen on ensuring that come April, when the vocational training centers will be roll out this training to our trainers, because we want them to be equipped with the right skills for them to now give the right skills to our trainees in the vocational training centers. We are also looking at the infrastructure part of it, like the CBET curriculum is coming with the modern workshops, and you know, having this training is not enough. We also need to look at how do we enhance our infrastructure in terms of having modern workshops, and we are now looking at rolling out relevant infrastructure in phases. Last financial year and this one, we've been working at Jokose VTC, which is a model VTC, and our key objective is to ensure that we can even hold what we call the campus programs, where other VTCs can now come and access workshops in all we are talking of 34, and we that we have as a county government, it becomes unrealistic to with even other partners, for example, the vocational training centers, 2 or 3 vocational training centers in Viga. Ensure that at least our youths are benefiting from the vocational training centers. Very expensive programs in terms of materials needed, in terms of infrastructure. It is not the main pillar will be to leverage on the partnerships that are existing for us to be able to improve.
Some different people that you work with to ensure now this CBET train the VTC, to train the trainers for the VTC centers. And one of the key questions we usually have in for the Department of Education is that the school calendar tends to differ from the financial calendar that the county government follows. And a case in point, like right now we're having students are going to school, it's back. So how do you ensure that your programs are well organized and receive the different funding and the different development needs that we have throughout the year without breaking for the financial year as we usually have the break, and just to kind of now have to follow the school calendar?
Yeah. This one is one of the key challenges that I've experienced as Cecm in the Department of Education, because I think the different, the county, you look at the county government budget circle is very different from the education budget circle. That is what we are talking about because of the different calendars. So what we need to do as a department basically is to now focus on I think we've been doing what I call reactive planning, and therefore we need to do serious capacity building, especially at our vocational training centers, so that we are projecting, like this is what we need at this time, so how do we now plan for it before it happens, to reduce the challenges that we see, the disconnect between the county calendar and the academic calendar. So we are also looking at capacity building of our managers in the vocational training centers, and KCB Foundation is keen on this because they are also keen on the reporting. And you know, as you do reporting, it will also help you to understand now how do we plan for the next cycle, and how do we now bridge the disconnect. The county, the financial, the county government and the academic calendar of the county government. One thing that we need to economic independence. Quality education, certification of entities, like I mean to be independent entities that can also generate their own income. So if we can our vocational training centers to be able to generate their own income out of the trainings that we are having, we are not asking them to do something different from the normal training that they are having. If they can generate income out of this training that they are doing, definitely we are talking about surplus. And you know, this surplus, the surplus will now cover the gaps that we are experiencing as we are waiting for the county government now to bring in. Actually, this problem is coming up loud because we are dependent. We feel like we are stagnated between clashing with the financial calendar of the county government and the but if we can focus on turning our vocational training centers into small, then we shall have an extra income. And resources from the county government, what we have will complement the gap between. This is my focus. The act that we have is addressing that. It's going to enable me now materials for uniforms, for example, and we ask focus on a fabric that ECD learners, you know, this is how we intend now to ensure the equipment for tile cutting, resources that we have to have a surplus. We could talk with the showroom, whereby as our vocational training centers are now producing these, I don't know how to call them, products. And they can attract buyers, and buyers, people will know that we have a vocational training center somewhere that can actually produce this. So that is how we want to expand, attaining self-sustainability, or rather in those vocational training centers. Yeah.
And now vocational training centers, and you talked about the different skills that the different learners are 34 VTCs you've mentioned. My question is, at what point, because we talk a lot about VTCs, but we don't know how to go to a VTC, and with the new CBC curriculum, when does a learner get the chance to go to a VTC? Before they go to the senior school, or is it after they finish the senior school? Because in 844 it was a bit easier. You could tell, you go after this point, you have a chance to, in case you want to. In this new curriculum, this new structure that you have, which points can people get to?
The pathways with the new curriculum, that is the CPC, it is automatic. A child will transition to senior school because there's something for that child, depending with the interest of the child and how the child has scored in a particular subject. So with this actually new curriculum, the way you've said, we are encouraging that our learners should now go through. So it is based on what you are good at. Then thereafter, to come back in the vocational training center and maybe specialize in a particular area, like this learner. Have a demand in the market space. That is what the CBET curriculum is specializing in. So the VT skill, like a tailoring skill, hairdressing skill, beauty therapy skill. the learning process of the university. Maybe you've gone there as a teacher and you feel like I really want to get this skill. Because this one is not, this one is an adult. Initially we will take student out there who feels like the normal academic Kenyan system is not favorable. He can specialize in and take the shortest time in specializing in what he wants. They are also welcomed. We want to offer. We want to give them employment skills. That is what we want. Like talk of phone repairs. It is a skill that will. And we also want to look at how do we now even reduce the course period, so that we are offering short courses to attract more people joining the vocational training centers. We want to get out of the tradition of keeping trainees in the center for 3 years, 4 years, because it is more of a duplication of the other curriculum, the academic curriculum. But if you're talking of hands-on skills, we should also look at a model that can reduce the duration that somebody is taking. And this is what KCB Foundation is coming in with the the Trujejeri program. This is a short program that takes about 6 months. You identify what you want to do, and they place you in a vocational center that is specialized with what you want to do. And it must be NITA accredited. So you are there for 6 months, and out of 6 months, you are out, self-employed, doing your things. If it is salon, you are running your own salon. If it is carpentry, you are now having your own workshop, running your carpentry. This is where we want to focus on, because young people cannot be kept in one place for more than 3 years. And the duration has also affected our learner retention in the vocational training centers. Like a youth comes in after 1 year, he has dropped out. Like you go for the enrollment data. Here the institution had over 50 learners. You come back after 6 months, they have dropped and dropped and dropped. And then what is coming out clear is the duration that is being taken. The concentration level, I think, is like, I want something, I want a quick fix. And that is what we are going for. Well, that is where the world is headed to. What are the cutting edge skills? Something that I'll do within the shortest time possible, and I'm able. So we are embracing this in our vocational training center. CBET is addressing that. The VTC bill, the VTC Act, is also allowing us now to come in with that. We are even looking at how do we now bring in the evening classes in our vocational training center. What are we not keeping our learners there for long hours? We allow them to go and practice the skills and come back and learn. That is what we are doing.
Yeah, thank you. And we will take a short break. We've been speaking to the County Executive Committee member of Education, and she has been able to extensively explain, especially for VTCs. And after we come back, we'll be speaking more on ECDE's centers in the county, because that's also under the mandate of the county government, and she'll be able to explain to us what are some of the plans in place in these centers in Vihiga County. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to this week's episode of Feedback Friday with me, Chilande. Today we are joined by the County Executive Committee member for Education and Desma, who's been answering questions on the Department of Education, helping us understand vocational training centers. In the first half of this, we've been able to understand what vocational training centers are in Vihiga and some of the plans in place to ensure that, tunasoma vizuri, and as we are still in the back to school period, it's a good time to talk about students and learners, and our waziri has been able to explain to us some of the challenges they have in the department and any strategies they have in place to us as adults. She has also spoken that said that as an adult you can also please end up, or we have 34 VTCs in the county. ECDE centers, and Waziri Karimu, again to this week's episode. Thank you for joining us, and some of the questions we've seen people raise are on ECDE centers, so we wanted to know what are some of the strategies in place to ensure that all education is a basic right for everyone. It's part of our constitution. It's a basic right for all Kenyans. What are some of the strategies that the department has in place to ensure all students who are Toto Wote are able to join ECD centers and to benefit from the education system?
Okay. Thank you so much. It's true. Education is a basic right for our children, and as a county government, we've ensured at least our children are able to access a learning institution. For example, we have 419 ECD centers scattered, constructed across Vihiga County. Majorly, most of our ECD construction is one-based because we know as an MCA you are able to identify a need, which is a need for an institution, a learning institution in our world, and that is how we are able to bring the education services closer to people. So we are strategically working with MCA as a county government to ensure that they help us identify where there is a need, an ECD need, and we do the infrastructure, of course, the support of information that our MCAs have given us. We know the law requires that a child should not walk for a longer distance without accessing an ECD center, and currently, in the last two financial budget cycles, we've been able to do about one. Because we are also encouraging what we call feeder schools. That is closer to the child. Most of them they are supporting us to reduce the gap, the walking distance of the learner. They're also putting it in mind that we also have children with disability, and that is the more enough schools in every. Basically, where there is a primary school, a public primary school, because of the proximity from where the child, the population. County government and constructed at least 3 independent that are not anchored, rather are aligned in the primary sector as a department.
build their capacity? Are there any strategies in place, or are there any activities that have been done to also for capacity building for ECD instructors within the county?
Basically, our ECD instructors are trained instructors, and then the county government has been offering the in-service trainings to our. It's a continuous kind of training program to our ECD instructors. But majorly, we are now focusing on how do we incorporate ICT knowledge in our ECD centers. So this is the training that we are now focusing on and bringing in partners to support us in ensuring that our ECD instructors are ICT savvy. We are also relying on the national government majorly on trainings for our instructors through the normal education training that goes on in the government, because most of the TTCs, technical training institutes that are managed by the national governments, are offering the basic education. If you look at teachers' colleges, they are also offering the same training. So we heavily rely on the national government with the existing training systems that are there to have our teachers trained. We are also encouraging our teachers to advance their studies because our strength is in provision of infrastructure, and we require their skills now to help us run the ECD programs that we have. As a county government, we do not have the autonomy and the capacity to actually offer those ECD training, the structured ECD teacher training, but we can complement the trainings. We can do capacity building in maybe, let's say, ICT, we have said, reporting, data management. We can do those complementary trainings, and we also have that on the pipeline. Even as a department, we are planning on how we do capacity building of our teachers in terms of reporting, data management, because as a department we are seeking rolling out the capitation funds to our ECD institutions. If we don't do these capacity trainings like financial management, data management, reporting procedures and protocol, we will not be able to effectively manage, they will not be able to effectively manage the resources in those centers. So we can only give but the complementary training, but not the core training as a department. Yeah.
And are there tools for further support learners in ECD centers? Are there any feeding programs in place for ECD centers in the county?
So far we have an organization called SOFDI that is supporting about 8 or 9 ECD centers with a feeding program. This is a blend of soya and maize flour to come up with the uji premix, that is how it is called. They have been implementing this program for the last 5 years or so. But now, as a county government, we're now coming in to support and see how do we ensure that all our children in public schools are accessing the UJI program. And we intend to roll out this UJI program in this financial year. We intend to ensure by the end of this year, as we conclude the procurement process, we shall be able to avail the UJI meal to our ECD learners across the county. Of course, we have challenges with the areas that Sophia is already there. So we are doing an MOU with Sophia to see how well now are we going to learn with them and ensure that no child is left out in the feeding program. It is a technical program it is a program that has received both a negative and positive feedback, because there are quarters that are telling me this one will bring a dependency syndrome, the subsidy will bring a dependent syndrome, and what if the subsidy stops, what happens? And you had initiated the program. But I'm telling the public, this is a mandate, this is an obligation of the department to ensure we are giving our children in those learning institutions and to sustain them during the learning hours while they are in school. So the feeding program is anchored in law, and the law sustains the program. So for these partners and friends maybe who are feeling that we want to bring in a dependence culture, like the one we are seeing in the vocational training centers. You know, like the other day I was visiting a vocational training center and somebody was telling me, you know why students are not coming in? It is because there is no lunch program. You know, we created like a dependence thing there, so if there is no lunch, they are not coming. So somebody was also equating that to the feeding program that we intend to roll in the ECD. But I want to assure the public that this one is a mandate. It is an obligation. Like we have to feed our children as something that can sustain them, and we are not going for a full meal like our whole lunch, breakfast, and dinner. We are talking of a cup of uji for that child without getting a snack or a meal in between the learning hours. And this one, it is a national policy, and it is also a county law that Vihiga County will feed its children. It is also in the governor's manifesto that he will roll out the feeding program, and it is also anchored in the CIDP that the county government of Vihiga shall roll out a feeding program. So the program will be sustainable because we have legal sufficiency that is going to sustain this program to ensure that is budgeted for in every circle. As we budget, we consider it as a core mandate of the department in the ECD sector. Yeah.
And thank you for that. Now, but arguably, one could also say that food is also a basic need for most people, and so if you use it, it would be important to ensure that people in the school,
in fact, it is a basic need for a child.
Yes, yeah. They have something to eat so that when they break, they are able to
very true.
Also learn well.
Yeah.
Kusoma kama akili iko na njaa, you're not able to do that. And then one of the other bills that was also assented within this financial year is the education bill, which is now the Education Act. Can you tell us a bit more about that, and how does that now support the programs within the department?
Yeah, we assented to a scholarship bill, which is now a scholarship act. The objective of this act was to sustain the scholarship project, a program that we have that is currently running. You know, we had a scholarship fund that lapsed, and there was need to continue with the students who are already in the program. But since the act lapsed, we could not continue, and that is why we saw the need now to come up with the Scholarship Fund Act. This act is specifically for the ongoing program, the existing. We are not recruiting we are not admitting new students in the program. We are actually continuing with the ones that are existing. So we needed this legal framework and sufficiency, this legal document to cover the ongoing scholarship program, and that is how we now. It was sponsored by a private person, and this is what we are using to implement the scholarship program for the ongoing students.
Okay. And why are we not getting more students to get this?
Scholarship is a mandate of the national government. It is not a devolved function. But then the county government, we are seeking to transition into bursaries. And the bursaries are also addressed in the VTC Act that we have. So how do we now use the bursary to support our students, both in the secondary schools and even in the vocational training centers? But looking at the grading system, every student has, every child has passed. It means I am excellent in the social sciences. It means I've passed exams in my area, in my clustered subjects. So it becomes very challenging to isolate who now gets a scholarship. Are we going to give those who are taking STEM subjects? And where are we leaving now these other ones who are coming in with the social subjects? Because we will get a in the social subjects, but now in the arts. But now when it comes to STEM, the capacity under the arts, or rather the social science. So we've not yet come up with clear with the new CPC, but we are hoping as a department going forward scholarship and who benefits. How do we grade? How do we think we are still conceptualizing it here and learning it. So we now think of strategies on how do we now implement the scholarship. But I want to assure the public the VTC Act is for Vihiga children, and come next financial department to ensure that we are having bursaries for our students in Vihiga County.
So for VTCs, the bursaries should regularly alter the floor and get 2026, 27 financial year.
Yes.
Vihiga County has a university, so we have the Kaimwasi Friends University. And are there any strategies
in our county? It is our university, and the plans also benefit from the innovation that is in the vocational learners in the vocational training centers, partly with the students. with the comrades in the university to where we are focused on. I had a meeting with the DVC. Vocational training centers into innovation hubs, and the university, the lecturers at the university, and even the innovation hubs. That is the key partnership that we are seeking with the university. As laboratories, like we could have a vocational training center, but centers in the partnership that we are seeking to have with the to support us with the ICT infrastructure in our BTC. Then we really centers into the university and get accredited, like to take
And we look forward to those actually happening. So if you're able to benefit from some of these partnerships, being able to come to fruition, and seeing our learners and seeing high skills, marketable skills to increase the employability. So thank you again for the episode. Would like to ask if you have any final messages for the people of Vihiga, for guardians, parents, questions. Where can they find your department, the different officers in the different
first, before I give my final remarks, I know we are having a lot of concerns from our ECD teachers on the reason scheme. I just want to assure the public that as a county government, it is now negotiate and see how do we implement the SRC, because it has a serious budget implication, and we need to be very honest that we've already closed the budget cycle. Table to negotiate and see how do we implement what the implemented faces because of the And also a concern on gratuity. I want to assure the public and our teachers that His Excellency has really worked around the clock, and we have the monies allocated in this current budget. The department has already processed the requisition for payment of the we are confident that the gratuity will be paid. Another the department, we are kind of losing a teacher on monthly basis. It is a sad situation, and we've been having issues with the last expense benefits. We know through the public service we are coming up with a staff welfare scheme, and this staff welfare scheme is going to address issues to do with the last expense benefits for our teachers. And for the vocational training centers, as we conclude, the public, we've been having systemic challenges. With resource leakages, especially we have IGS that we can't account for. We have equipment. On how we are now going to implement the raised across our VTC centers and ensure effective service delivery and ensure that we are offering quality education. Our young people are graduating from these centers. They are able to compete fairly with the market demand and get jobs. But now we need a treatment plan, and it's giving us a VTC transformation blueprint that we are expecting to come up with smart actions that we can implement. So we translate the problem into an implementable action. That is what we are seeking. Students who are beneficiaries of our scholarship, we were not the scholarship. It is because the funds are not available. We talked about we are working on how the fees will now hit your school accounts. But we recently issued a pocket that is for the school shopping, and I want to believe our beneficiaries are in school. We also issued communication to those schools to allow our students to stay in school until we pay the school fees. So wanafunzi wasome. I normally say education is the only equalizer that we have. The more you learn, the more you know things. And the more you know things, the more you go places. And the more you go places, the better your life becomes. So education is very key. I'm not saying skills are not important. Skills is equal to education. We are out there to join our vocational training centers For those who are in school, just work smart, concentrate on your education. And for parents, let us raise they can be very, very disappointing, but we need to raise them with some grace, support them even as they are going through the education system to help them achieve their goals. You may have a challenge or a question for the department. I am available in my office. My office is right at the governor's building at the headquarters. Share, let us reason together, and let us see how well can we improve the education. We have no other business but is continuing. Our youth are students are in school, our ECD learners are in school. That is our main business.
Team member for education, science, technical and vocational training, and Desma. Within the department and with the different stakeholders. So thank you again to our audience for joining us today. Every week for Feedback Friday, and also join us bi-weekly for our Behavior Wiki Heal program. Communication crew behind the scenes. Bado ni mwaka mpya, so happy next time. Bye.